So who decided what the public would hear? What did Anthony Fauci know would destroy black people at a disproportionate rate in Democrat-run cities that they never said a word about?
Now, in support of President Trump's maximum transparency mandate, today, on my final day as Director of National Intelligence, I'm releasing never-before-seen communications and documents that expose exactly how Fauci worked with politicized career leadership in the intelligence community to suppress the truth about his actions, the virus's lab leak origins, and his role in directing U.S. funding for this dangerous research that caused immeasurable harm and countless lost lives.
America, I want you to think about your own family. Did you lose your mother? Did you lose your father? Did you lose your grandmother, your nana, your grandfather, your papa? Did you lose your pastor? Did you lose the elder everybody in your family depended on? Big Mama, as we would call her in Buffalo, New York. Now ask yourself this. If your community was dying at a disproportionately high rate, shouldn't your community have been the first to know about every serious scientific lead researchers were investigating? Shouldn't every church that was involved in these epicenters, shouldn't they have been briefed? Shouldn't every physician serving a hard-hit neighborhood as it relates to COVID, shouldn't have they been told what scientists were studying and what remained uncertain? Shouldn't the communities carrying the greatest burdens, which, by the way, was the black community, shouldn't they have been the center of the research effort? I bet you didn't hear about the biological studies that were examining the differences between black Americans carrying what's called the F8A2 and A3 loci that researchers thought was important enough to publish. Why didn't they think it was enough to publish? Black Americans were dying at a rate several-fold white Americans. I didn't even know I had symptoms. But again, I'm Northern European and black. So who decided what the public would hear? What did Anthony Fauci know would destroy black people at a disproportionate rate in Democrat-run cities that they never said a word about outside of scientific journals? Why weren't the families invited into that conversation while they were losing loved ones? Tulsi Gabbard had to let me know last week that Anthony Fauci was sitting on this information. She shared it with all the United States. Why are so many people only discovering years later that this line of research even existed, knowing that blacks were predisposed to inflammatory outcomes as it relates to COVID, especially as it relates to how they breathe? They were stuck on ventilators and died. Blacks and Hispanics all throughout the United States. If public officials believe that they handled the pandemic appropriately, why not put every study, every timeline, and every decision on the table and let the American people examine it? Why did I have to find out by Tulsi Gabbard? The outcome is undeniable, folks. The morgues were filling up, and they were filling up with black people or anyone that had this FA82 loci. Lots of Europeans have black blood here in America, folks. Don't think they don't. You could probably run a DNA on yourself and find that you have black blood in you. But black Americans and those with that genetic precursor suffer disproportionately. My question is, was the public given the fullest picture of what science knew? Science knew what it was investigating, but the public did not. And I'm a pastor. I had to bury these people. I had to deal with their loved ones. Asking, why, Lord? Why, Lord? Why, Lord? And these Democrats knew all along. That, to me, is absolute betrayal.